Welcome, Aquarius, to your in-depth weekly astrology overview and zodiac forecast for week commencing the 29th of June for the Ascendant, the Sun, or the Moon. Going to share with you the big themes of the week ahead. First of all, on screen is your event chart. As we go into the week, I'll unpack that. It's always revealing. I'll then go through each of the influences in detail. By the end of the video, you'll have a clear picture of what's upcoming in terms of energy, work, relationships, or finances. I'm Astrologer Patrick Arundel. A very warm welcome. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so now to help it to continue to thrive. But please also click or tap the bell notification symbol. At the very end of last week, Mars, the planet of action, moved out of a bit of a prickly part of your chart, where he's been for the last 6 weeks, and into an area which is much more to do with showcasing your charisma, your talent in a very confident and assertive way. But it also links immediately with Uranus, your modern ruler, and that's creating a real sense of excitement. But also on Monday, we do have a full moon, and it's a full moon in the practical sign of Capricorn. What's the implication? It is in a testing T-square with the drifting, dreamy energy of Neptune. But also on Monday, Mercury, the communicator, but also the planet of precision, does go into a retrograde. I'm going to share with you how you can work with that right through to the 23rd of July. But then Tuesday, Jupiter joins up again in its sextile between Mars and Jupiter by elements, but this time in their new homes. And the air of Mars in Gemini is feeding the flame of Jupiter moving into Leo, your sector of relating, for the first time since 2015. Very exciting stuff, Aquarius. So let's just look at the event chart on screen, get a feel for where everything is. So the moon isn't quite in the opposition with Capricorn. That happens later on Monday, and you can see Mercury there stationed in retrograde. And that is going to be retracing its steps through to the 23rd of July. But for you, it's in the sixth house, which kind of has an echo of the Virgo rulership Mercury has of that sign. It's all about making sure the details are absolutely precise. So that can be a challenge with Mercury retrogrades, but it also in the feeling sign of Cancer is detaching a little bit from the emotions. So your emotions could influence your thinking a little bit, and that concentration that Mercury is very useful for in the sixth house. However, what you can also do is rethink, and this is where we can use Mercury retrogrades very constructively. You can rethink your approach to the routines you have, some of the structures in your life, maybe even about some business or work issues, some kind of new set that could come from revision and reprising how you are at the moment and teasing out some improvements to make the Mercury retrograde valuable to you. But going back to that full moon, so what we have is the moon in the 12th house, much more psychological, the sun in the practical sixth. So if something is out of kilter around your energy and you are feeling a little bit drained, just be aware that Neptune, the planet of dreams, is in a T-square with that duo. And maybe is by the amount of thinking you're doing or trying to work certain parts of your work or your health out, it could be that you deplete yourself a little bit more. So one of the things I would say is that Jupiter moving on Tuesday into the seventh house, it's not just about relationships, it's about connection, but it can also be about boundaries. And Jupiter can be very self-confident in Leo. So if there's something that is out of kilter, for example, are you being too much of a supporter of a situation where other people could take more responsibility? Are you the person who's always turning the lights off last at work or getting in there first, but other people don't actually say thank you for that? But equally, that kind of dynamic could be happening at home. If you're being too conscientious and someone's not doing any of the domestic heavy lifting, set a boundary. And Jupiter can help you do it in a kind of bubbly way, an enthusiastic way. Listen, we need to talk about this. Crack a few jokes, and that beautiful sextile to Mars, and also in an inspirational one with Uranus, your modern ruler, find some fresh, intriguing angles just to break some kind of deadlock that may have got into your vitality. Because if you don't, you could start this month feeling quite depleted, because not only does Neptune T-square the full moon, we then have Saturn at the end of the first week in a square with the Sun as well. So it's important to really prioritize what's important, but also delegate, get other people to do their bit as well. The other thing that comes up for me at the start of this month, or the end of June, but the start of July, is that Mars is T-square in the nodal axis. Now, over the last 18 months, maybe the North Node has been asking you to really show a lot of faith about how things can play out in terms of everyday finances, because Saturn really battered that area for 2 years, but you had Neptune perhaps creating quite a lot of confusion since 2012. Maybe during that time he was supremely generous and kind to good causes, but that didn't always perhaps work for you in how it felt as far as your self-worth. So I think the North Node's been trying to help you, particularly since the middle of February when Saturn left Pisces, to try to restore your value of how you see yourself. But if you're wanting to be more enterprising with your resources, because the fifth house can be very much about speculation, and Mars and Uranus together, they ain't sitting on their hands, not in Gemini. They find an idea, it sparks them, it inspires them, they want to take action quickly. They can be very impulsive, and that is something that could see you make a snap decision. But I wouldn't be too keen to do that unless you've really analysed the details. And remember, Mercury, not at its best in Cancer, in a retrograde, could make that a bit trickier to do. However, pleasingly at the start of the week, if you want an equilibrium and harmony in relationships, Venus in a beautiful trine, with your traditional ruler Saturn, means that a conversation you have could be very clarifying, and that can be very reassuring. Towards the end of the week, as Jupiter gets established in, sorry for the misspeaks, I am very tired. It's been a difficult week with lots and lots of plate spinning going on. So Jupiter into Leo, it is inching towards that opposition with Pluto, but that can give you an enormous amount of drive. But if you would like to meet some significant new people, whereas Jupiter, I don't feel performed brilliantly in Cancer, I do think it can perform a lot better in Leo. So do have confidence about what's coming for you around all sorts of connections in the second half of this year. I'm going to summarize those areas of vitality, work, relationships, and finances next, Aquarius. Just before I do, just sharing about my personal horoscopes offer. For many years, it was buy two, get 30% off. Now it's buy one, get three. Please see the link below for more. The one you buy is your life roadmap report, helps us to understand ourselves better. 12 months forecast, when to make our moves. Draconic, where to understand our more karmic roots that we brought into this life. Please see below for more. If you've yet to watch your July monthly forecast or your Jupiter into Leo 13-month forecast, please click on the eye on the screen and that will take you through to them. Like to work with me one-to-one? Pleasure. Please see my testimonials below. If you've yet to sign up for your free daily written horoscope, find your device each morning. We have had a few tech issues which someone was outraged that you had to click through the grid of the different zodiac signs to read their daily horoscope. Outraged. I do so much stuff for free. I don't mind people saying, Patrick, this isn't working very well. Can you sort? That's absolutely fine. You'll always get a message back from me as soon as I see it. I'm very interactive, but outraged, really outraged. So, but if you aren't outraged and want to read your daily horoscope, please click on the link beneath this video to sign up for that. So to summarize, as far as energy is concerned, well, the full moon has challenges. You know, if you're pushing yourself too hard, either psychologically or physically, there needs to be a balance. And Neptune can distort maybe a little bit your normal clarity. But I think it's something you can work on, and the Mercury retrograde can be an asset. Do know that. Don't be one of those people who thinks that everything in the world can't work because Mercury retrogrades last 10 weeks in total with the pre and post retrograde shadows. We get 3 a year usually. That's 30 weeks of the year. We're all going to do nothing for 30 weeks. You've got to have courage to go with what you need to do when you need to do it. But of course, there can be snags, but life throws up snags. But all we can do is make sure that we get the bit we can control right. So let's be positive and use that Mercury retrograde in a constructive way. As far as relationships are concerned, Jupiter moving into the seventh, forging a sextile with Mars in the fifth, which is very much to do with having fun, being flirty, being naughty, being daring, maybe provocative around your love life. I cannot see if you're single that you won't have some really exciting connections over the next 13 months and perhaps even this week. If you're in a relationship where the communication is really good, that can get more solid this week. If you're wanting to make some changes around your work, or you have issues at work that perhaps aren't being looked after well enough, perhaps poor management, poor culture. We had an email today from Royal Mail telling us that they couldn't collect a parcel, but well, they had tried to collect the parcel, but we hadn't prepared the parcel properly. It didn't even knock on the door. So we got cultural lying. So in a big corporate business. So if you have got a line manager who doesn't play it straight, Aquarius people, however much people can find this difficult at times because we are individual and maybe a bit outspoken. If you just tell us the truth, we can suck it up. So, look, I'm stressed out at home, things are difficult, blah, 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 blah. Just forgive me for being a bit grumpy. Most Aquarius people can lean into that. So if you are encountering someone at work that is impossible, I think you should look for another job. And as far as money is concerned, yes, there could be part of you that's in the mood to have a punt. Think before you leap. It's been a pleasure being with you, Aquarius. All the best. Have a great week and goodbye for now.